2000 2001 Acura CL. Of course, it's got a 3.2 or 3200cc motor in there. This has a knock. The car has 139,000 on it. I mean, the car's well maintained. I can't begin to tell you how well this car is kept up. This guy keeps his cars on point, put it that way. Let me let you hear it. It sounds like it's in the back cylinder. So once I get everything pulled apart, get the motor out, we'll disassemble it and see what's up with it. I'm gonna check for the front. Whew. Well, all the coils are removed from the front, and it still didn't change, so it's putting out a lot of smoke. I think a wrist pin's going out in one of the cylinders. I mean, as bad as it is, I mean, hell, it still would make sense pulling the ignition cord. Hold on 1 second, so I keep calling. Yeah, I just had a phone call. So I just took the, so I got the intake runner control out. I'm going to see if I'm going to disconnect these cylinders in the back and see if the knob change and see if it's in the back cylinder, but it really sounds like it's in the front. So son of a bitch. Alright, let me get this squared away because this motor is vibrating like crazy. Not even trying to stay running now. Let me put this coil back because these other cylinders need to be working. Got a cam in it. So it's really sounding like a blown head gasket. That's what it's looking like. I mean, it had a crazy knock, and let me you know what. Let me check the oil. I checked. Oh yeah. It wasn't like that last time. It was just dirty, and you know, who knows? I was under the impression. Oh shucks. Yeah. Yeah, I was under the impression that there was a bad rod knot, which it was. So what happened possibly is that the head gasket blew and probably caused the rod to bend. That noise can be attributed to rod knock, not rod knock, but bent. That noise can be attributed to a bent rod. Uh, I've seen it happen twice in my life, not just from my own personal vehicle, but from another, my cousin's vehicle. He had a crazy knock and wound up having a bent rod in there. They do crazy things. Uh, let me see if I can get it started again. Yeah, you can see it's a lot of steam and smoke coming out the back over there. So, I mean, either way, I mean, it was knocking. Now it's not knocking. Both of the banks are smoking pretty bad. So, either way, like I said, the car has 139,000 on it. I'm putting 98,000 mile motor in here. It's crazy that it doesn't have any pressure. There's no coolant in here. And of course, there's chocolate milk in the cooling system. So not in the coolant. It's chocolate milk in the oiling system. So that's further going to indicate that it's a blown head gasket. So I'm gonna pick at this and at some point in time get the motor out. I'm not as interested as pulling the motor apart really now, being that the head gaskets are obviously blown. Um, I mean, it wouldn't hurt to break it all the way down and see what happened, but I'm gonna have to pull all the parts off anyway. So we'll see. My workload and my time that I have. So I might not. I don't know. It would be nice to. Alright, let's pull these coils back off. So even when I do get the new motor, like all my other motors, I pull apart the original motor that comes out, so it works two ways. I'll be able to get familiar with the motor I pulled apart, inspect it, see what happens. Also, I still need to save the sensors that comes off of it. My thing is, these power steering lines of the Taurus were going bad. This one ain't never been replaced. You know, if it was my car, I would put a new one on it while I got the motor out. So I'll just pick at it, pull off miscellaneous items. And at some point in time during the duration of pulling all this stuff off, I will have the motor loose and it ready to come out. I guess the good thing is it ain't locked up. So Kind of lucky with that. This car has like 2 throttle bodies. What's up there? That's funky. This car has like 2 throttle bodies. I don't know why is that, but it's pretty interesting. I should find out why it's like that at some point in time. Go and pull in the upper intake so I can get me some clearances. To pull these off, you have to pull this cover off and the bolts will be underneath. Oh shit. Whew. Yes, sir. Look at that. There's a lot of chocolate milk in there. I know you can see it pretty well, but yeah, look at all that. That's water. Seems like it might be a bit broke valves. Could be. Yeah. But that's strange for it to have coolant sitting inside the intake like that. It's like a mixture of gas also, unless it's just the PCV system that happened to have some residue in there. I guess once I take the throttle body off, I'll be able to see exactly what's going on in there. Need a 12 and magnet, some gloves. I didn't get my magnet still. Save what I can. These gaskets are reusable. There are nuts in there, so they could fall off into the intake. You have to fish them out. Ooh, right. All right. It's gonna be a lot of bolts under here. I'm gonna put it that way. So let's get this to the side there. Why do I even put an actuator pull that off. I was hoping I could lift it up and pull it out, but there's a bracket under that. Again, I don't know if it's a primary throttle body. I don't know. We're gonna take the air box out. There's 8mm bolts down here. Pull the air box out. Okay, so I think there's those two. A lot of just miscellaneous stuff on these older cars, man. Let me get my. I mean, it's a lot of miscellaneous stuff on this. Is a 2001. You know, you hear people, older folks talking about, you know, they love carbureted vehicles. There's a 12, what looks like a 12 down here. I'm gonna pull that out, and I should be able to lift up on it. Best not to damage that boot over there. Tape tube is there. Anything else? So there's some other lines, some idler stabilizers, idler control valve, some coolant lines on the bottom there. I might be able to just separate the throttle body and just leave everything together. Let me see if I can do that without, no. I'm going to take all of them apart. This sucks. Dang it, man. Oh, no. I can take this. I should be able to separate this. Okay. That battery box in the way. So, yeah, look at that. There's oil inside of the intake tube. There's a lot of it in there. Yeah. I mean, it could. I think a piston's broke, and I think it broke as a result of the head gasket blowing. So, but the thing is, both banks are bad. So that's the strangest thing. One bank's not firing. So. Wires out here. I want to pull those. Let's see if I can get those relaxed. That harness. Take this as take that off. I can't stress that people save everything, man. You pull an old motor off, I don't care if it's like random bolts. I'm kind of, I don't want to take the throttle body off. I don't want to do that. I'm gonna leave that on there. And just take the throttle leakage off. All right, now we should be able to remove the intake. It's the upper part of it. Well, I thought I was. Shit. What the hell? Am I missing something? Oh, yes, right. Those coolant lines that I did not take off that I said I wasn't going to. That's right. Let's pull those off. Ain't no coolant in there anyway. These all got ate up. There we go. I got the coolant lines off the throttle body. All right. Oh my God. What I leave on here? All right. Here we go. So that's out of there. Now I just gotta get the rest of the motor out. Well, it'll be easy to pull the motor out once I get that off, so I can hook the chain up to the upper intake. I swear, once I get these fans, I think I'm gonna remove the radiator. Yeah, I should. I'm gonna take this radiator out of there. But so I can remove the compressor. Just drop the compressor. I'm not gonna remove the freon or anything. Fuel line return. All right. I'm gonna get squirt by fuel. I get it. Shucks. Didn't have the right size on there. So some strange diaphragm there. Goes to the intake. That's strange. It's real strange. I'm gonna pull that out. I don't know what a lot of stuff is. They're so old. What does this doohickey do? It goes to the air box. It's not even a real sufficient vacuum, so get this out and get the hoses taken out. I'll have plenty of room to work with. Normally what I'll do when I I have big jobs like this and I got other things to work on, I'll work on the bottom, drain the oils potentially, probably not, don't have to, until I get the motor out on the cherry picker. Work on the bottom, get all the bolts out from the bottom, get the torque converter bolts out, then all I gotta do is work from the top, get all the bolts out, and extract the motor. This is not that bad. I really, if I put my mind to it and had everything, I could snatch the motor out and put it in one day. But this car, I'm doing a time belt water pump, all new stuff is coming. So valve cover gaskets, everything. But yeah, so I'm working on, like I said, I'm getting the radiator out, get some other miscellaneous stuff pulled out. I'm not gonna make this into a engine pull video. I mean, this boring. So, but Primarily we'll see what happened with this motor when we get it out and get it apart. May update. We'll see. More than likely, I probably will. Going to the fuse box. It'll be easier to take it. It'll be easier to take this off from here. Jeez Louise. I have to go through this last time with the newer ones. Leave that attached. I should have just left the alternator honestly attached, so with this hot wire, that's fine. Just make mistakes, so I'm gonna leave that in there. That back. In hindsight, I should have just left the alternator hooked up. Let's see here. Alright. So here's mess. The wrong way. Alright, got a 14 ratchet wrench, and yeah, so here we go. Oh shit, I went the wrong way. Not that bright. Shit, I'm just gonna leave it right there. Alright, take off the compressor. The compressor now it's 12 millimeter bolts here. 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's see if we can break those loose and get them out. So much different. Let me get the hard one first, but I don't know if I can get that one out the way. I think it's gonna be a problem. Leave that one last. I'll break it loose though. That one first. Alright, I'm gonna leave that one bolt and then I'm gonna let it sit right there. It ain't going nowhere. I shouldn't have to take these lines out, but worst case scenario, I gotta drain it, remove this suction line here, and do what I gotta do. Hopefully I shouldn't though. I can have plenty of room to manipulate it. I'll go ahead and remove this upper strut mount here. So I got this compartment cover off, and there are two seemingly 14 to 12 millimeter bolts in there. So I think there should be 12. Let me find out. I think they're 12. Yeah, they're 12. So I'm gonna pull these out and just go ahead and take it out, because I know I got a feeling I'm gonna have to pull it off, and just go ahead and get it out the way. There's a compartment on the right side over there, the left side, sorry, the driver's side. It's hidden. Should be right here. Take those out and get that out. Same thing. Son of a son. Get off. Damn it. I might just leave it like this, and I'll just move it around so I ain't gotta take it all the way out, because I don't need it all the way pulled out. I just need to be able to move it through this other side here so I can get some clearance to pull the motor out. Everybody stays in their place. Yeah, that's all I need right here. I just need to be able to move it, so when I pull it out, I can leave it as it is. I'm gonna put all the bolts back in their designated spot, so we'll keep track of them. I might have to take that mount out. Yeah, looking like it. Let's see if we can get it out without driving it. I should have got my magnet. I'm gonna regret. All right, there we go. So we're gonna pull this out. I was like, why is it coming off? I forgot all about the belt. All right, there we go. Okay. Water pump under here. Shucks. Cam position sensor shit, dude. Well, it's fine. We can put them back. It's not a big deal. Live and learn. So the thing was, I didn't have to take that lower intake off. It was just my ignorance, so I do that sometimes. Hopefully the new ones will come with this breather piece untouched. Not a problem. We're up under the car now. So I forgot I put the catalytic converter on there. Yeah, so I ain't gonna be able to take the flange if there was one apart. Let's see. So what I'm gonna do, remove the downpipe. There's some bolts there. There's some bolts there on the other rear bank. There's hold on, shut up, Tommy. All right. So the drive shaft that's connected to the CV axle does have a mounting bracket on there. If I can get a good view of it. Let's see here. So you can see those. There's a bolt. Let's see. There's one bolt right there that's connected to it. So I'm gonna take that drive shaft carrier loose, and there's so looking at the motor mount now. So looking at the rear mount, I'm taking those two bolts off that only goes to the motor. I'm gonna leave the ones connected to the transmission. Then I'm going to take this little plate off. Where is it at? Right there. It's a 10 millimeter between the bell housing and the engine block, so I can get the torque converter bolts out. Those are gonna be 10 millimeter. Other than that, any miscellaneous connections, the let me see, it's the post. Well, the pre-cat sensor here, this is going to come loose from the top up there, likely. I might not have to, but if it's in the way, I'll take it loose. So I'm just going to drop this down pipe here and just let it hang. Other than that, there's nothing else that needs to come off from the bottom besides the things that I mentioned. So let's, I'm going to go ahead and get that and go back from the top and should be able to extract it. So I got the bottom down. So I took off the down pipe, the Y pipe for the exhaust, the drive shaft carrier bearing. So that's removed. There's 3 bolts. I said there was 2. That's off. The cover for the flex plate, so I can get the torque converter bolts out. There was 2 17 millimeter bolts between the motor mount and the engine that's holding the engine to the transmission. Took those out. I think I said the 2 motor mount bolts out in the back. let's see. I think that's it. And let me see. Then I was able to get one of the bolts down there to get from the transmission. It was actually cross-threaded. I don't know, like the transmission was rebuilt, obviously. So I could tell somebody had been through it when I first started working on it. But how do you cross-thread it? I'm like, seriously, it's the worst bolt. But luckily, the radiator was out and I had plenty of room to turn that bolt. So now I'm just going to take the front motor mount out, the right anchor mount, and I should be able to extract the motor. So I think I can leave those starter bolts in there if I recall properly. There was 2 bolts under the thermostat housing there, and I should be able to extract this motor, and I'm gonna get that harness up at the top there. So I think those are 2 10mm bolts, and I can lay all the harness off to the side and do what I need to do. We're getting close. I got the motor mount removed. I'm going to take this front mount bracket off. This should be 14s. I do believe I can use this worn out. Shit. Oh gosh, everything's falling. Hold on. Hold up. Alright. Should separate. Should open up like it wants me. Leave that in there. So we're loose. All right, let me get the cherry picker. Got a ground strap. You ain't got nobody. I'm by myself, so I don't want to take the whole hood off, so I'll just take off the quick connection for the shocks. Just let it rest on it. As I lift it up, I'm lifting up on the hood also. Once I get some clearance, slide it back. All right, it literally took like, gosh, 2.5 hours. All right, this literally took like 2.5 hours. I mean, I just kept picking it. I had something else to work on with Toyota, but I took like an 8-hour lunch break. I was gone. So, but I've done this quite a few times, so it was pretty easy. Nothing special. But this is gonna be part one as far as to remove the engine, and I'll just make a part two as far as what went wrong with it. I mean, strangely, there was like both of the cylinder heads were pushing out water. I'm just suspecting it's a rod knob, so I could be wrong. Don't mind being wrong, but we're gonna pull this apart anyway. I am gonna take it apart for a multitude of reasons, just to see what's going on with it, just for the sake of experience. And 3, I do need to keep all the sensors I possibly can in case that new motor comes with something that's defective. So keep all the sensors, valve covers. I'm taking the heads off too. I'm just taking everything. So they're pretty good about me just taking everything off. Other than that, I mean, this car is a little older. There was a lot of miscellaneous parts that you had to take off. This transmission was replaced before. I'm pretty sure it probably had a rebuild. I'm thinking, but normally they'll change the torque converter. Look, let me show you. The light had died halfway through, so but luckily it's daytime. So yeah, the torque converter looks pretty good. Looked like it was. Normally when they replace those torque converters, if the transmission was rebuilt, they'll put like a single colored one in there. They have like a solid color, like it's an aftermarket or remanufactured unit. But strangely, this one doesn't look that way. But the transmission was removed and replaced. How I know? Because that bolt hole down there had a cross-threaded bolt. Let me show you. And here it go, right here. Yeah, this joker was cross-threaded. Is it gonna focus? I don't know if it's gonna focus or not. It's probably because of the lighting, but yeah, this is autofocus. Focus. That ain't gonna work with me, but you can see it was cross-threaded a little bit. Here we go. So yeah, I'm not sure how the fudge cake that happened, but I mean, it happened. So I got another bolt. Luckily, the threads are inside the transmission. I'm sorry, not the transmission, but the engine here. So that's where this went. I got some motor bolts. I got a great assortment of bolts from all the engine and stuff I've done over the years. So We'll get that put in there. Other than that, you see what I've taken off. Those two bolts I was referring to in the back on the transmission mount, those came off. When I get it back in there, the dials, it'll just fall right back into place. Once I get some bolts lined up, get those dials pulled back in, and got the motor pulled back in, then it's just smooth sailing from there. But just take a quick look at the exhaust. Look at all the coolant and fluid that's in the exhaust system. Makes me curious. Like this is head gasket. I was about to put it to the camera as if I can smell it through there. But that's oil and water being mixed. And I'm ready to get this thing pulled apart. So let me start disassembling this. Let me just get the other video started. Hopefully I can get two in one day. We'll see what happens.